Working as a CNA in the nursing home setting for over 3 years, I have acquired some information that I've wanted to share with an audience outside of my friends and family. I've never had an outlet to express this information until now. In this report, I'm going to introduce you to some truths about nursing homes that you have probably never known. This report will not cover abuse, neglect, or any form of harm afflicted to nursing home residents. I'm just going to talk about personal observations I've noticed throughout the years that I believe everyone should be aware of. So, let's get started. The first topic I want to discuss are some common misconceptions about nursing homes. And the one I hear most often is, a nursing home is a place where people go to die. And this statement to an extent is true, but what most people don't understand is that many nursing homes are also rehab hospitals, with staff such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy. And many of these patients actually get better, go home, and lead a productive life. The second misconception that people have is that nursing homes are just for old people. And again, to an extent, this statement is true, but this trend is changing due to people's lifestyle habits. Because of the blatant disregard for human lives in lieu of profits, corporations are flooding the marketplace with food devoid of any actual nutritional value. And these foods may taste good, and they are cheap, but the average American has no clue what it is actually doing to their body. With type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease being among the top preventable diseases in America today, we are seeing younger and younger people checking into nursing homes. And we just had a lady in her mid-50s admitted the other day with a dialysis port in her neck, amputated toes, and a huge pressure wound on her butt that's never going to heal. And I basically asked her, what happened to you? And she said, I didn't take care of myself. And that is the first time that I've actually in my career heard somebody take personal responsibility for their situation. Then I began to think, is she really responsible for the way she is today? Or could this be a result of the culture in which we live? Maybe her only perception of reality is what was flashed upon the television in front of her for some 50-odd years. So now that I've introduced you to a couple misconceptions about nursing homes, I'm going to talk to you about what they're all about. A nursing home is basically a place where people come when they need 24-hour care. There are many reasons why people end up in a nursing home, and the most common is because the family does not have the time nor the resources to provide full-time care. That's where I come in. I work on the skilled floor of this particular nursing home, and on this floor people are very sick and most require total dependent care. And that means that grooming, bathing, changing, and feeding are all done by me. The illnesses that I deal with include stroke victims, morbid obesity, dementia patients, and amputees, just to name a few. A typical day includes dressing a person, transferring them to a wheelchair, bringing them to activities, feeding them, showering them, and then transferring them back to bed, all while changing them multiple times throughout the day. On any given day, I can take care of 9 to 12 people, and nurses have anywhere from 23 to 27 residents to care for. Because of the heavy workload, this tends to be a job with a high turnover rate. It is a rewarding job, but if you're not prepared for the work, you will get burned out very quick. Now that I've given you some background information of what my job entails, I'm now going to talk about the purpose for making this film. And it breaks down to 3 categories which I'll discuss in further detail. The first topic I want to discuss is the act of transferring people. Normal healthy people take for granted that they can get up out of bed in the morning, walk to the shower, get clean, sit down at the kitchen table, have a nice breakfast, hop in their car, and drive to work. In this section, I'm going to give you yet another reason why you should stay healthy. An obese man in his early 60s was just admitted to the nursing home a few months ago after having 2 knee replacements. His weight literally crushed his knees to the point where he could not walk. Originally, he was sent to the rehab floor to get him back walking again. Sadly, because of his immense weight, he was unable to complete the basic task of standing and was thus pulled off therapy and sent to the skilled floor. In a few short months, this man went from living at home to becoming incontinent and dependent upon the care of others just for basic survival. Luckily, his retirement fund allowed him to purchase a motorized wheelchair, so he is able to be mobile. I told my friend about this guy, and right away he asked, if he can't walk, How does he get into his wheelchair? Let me introduce you to the Hoyer lift. The Hoyer lift is a transfer device used for obese patients as well as patients who cannot bear weight on their legs. To use this device, we put what's called a sling under the patient while they're in bed. To place this sling, we have to roll the patient back and forth to get it properly positioned. On four ends of the sling there are hooks that we attach to the machine. Here's a picture I took of the sling on the machine without the person attached. On the Hoyer there is a remote to raise or lower the machine. The Hoyer is used to transfer patients to and from their wheelchairs. It's a pretty safe device and a real back saver too. I bring this story up as an eye-opener. If you or anyone you know has an obesity problem, share this information with them. I told an overweight person I know about the Hoyer lift, and he said to me, "That'll never happen to me. I'll die of a heart attack before anyone has to put me in bed using one of those machines." "Don't be so sure," I told him. "I have a 300-pound, 78-year-old woman who is completely alert who uses it every day." The second topic that I want to talk about is the use of gastric tubes, or G-tubes for short. A G-tube is a tube inserted into the stomach of a patient to provide them with food while they recover from a stroke and can't swallow, or if they have some kind of nutritional deficiency disorder and they can't eat regular food. They can be short-term or long-term depending on the condition. I don't have a problem with G-tubes as long as the person with the tube can have some kind of quality to their life. The next story is where I have a problem with G-tubes. Let me introduce you to Jimmy. Jimmy is a 46-year-old man with, in my opinion, no quality of life. He sits in bed all day connected to the G-tube and just stares at the ceiling. He can't talk and he can barely move his body. In the year and a half that I've taken care of Jimmy, his family had stopped by one time. This rare visit was an opportunity to ask them what happened to Jimmy. They basically said that he was shot in a gang shootout, the bullet ricocheted to his brain, and he's been a vegetable ever since. We currently have 10 residents in this perma-veg state, as I call it. And there's a serious ethical dilemma here. When somebody has no quality of life, is it right to pull the tube and let nature take its course? In my opinion, if that was a member of my family, they'd be dead and gone long before I'd ever consider the use of a gastric tube. I've talked to my family and they completely agree with me on this one. Now I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think it's okay to let somebody you love stay alive indefinitely, knowing full well that they will live the rest of their life as a vegetable? I've expressed this concern to some of my coworkers and most agree with me. But one CNA was so upset with me. She was like, "You'd actually murder your family member?" I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this dilemma, so go ahead and leave a comment. The last topic that I want to talk about is something that's happening every day in nursing homes around the country, and it makes me pretty disgusted. I never thought much about it until I started watching the community, and now I'm pretty vocal about it at work. It's called food waste. The amount of perfectly good food we throw away every day at our facility would make a poor person want to sit in the kitchen after every meal to get their share. I'm not talking about half-eaten trays either. I'm talking about completely untouched food trays. Let me explain how this happens. On any given day in our nursing home, residents are sent to the hospital, residents don't want to eat, and sometimes they die. Miscommunication to the kitchen allows these residents' trays to keep coming. One time we had a resident die, but the tray kept coming for more than a week. So if we do some math here, that's 3 meals a day for 7 days. That means 21 meals, perfectly good food, were thrown away. And that's just for one person. I counted 7 untouched trays the other day on the dinner shift, and that's pretty much the average on any given night. If we do a little bit more math here, that adds up to about 600 meals thrown away per month. Perfectly good food. Now I know what you guys are thinking. They don't throw away that food. I'm sure the kitchen staff takes it home for their families. You know what? They probably do. But I did ask the kitchen supervisor what they do with the untouched trays, and he said we throw it all away. If this is true, it makes me wonder who is sicker, the residents in the facility or the ignorant kitchen staff. So what's your take about the food waste info I just presented? Please comment. I'd like to know what you guys think. Alright, thanks everybody for watching my presentation. I hope I've given you some information that you can talk with your friends and family about. I guess that's going to be about it. I ran out of time here. I'm going to go ahead and end it with a quote by Elizabeth Bibesco. And that's going to be it. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.